It's going to be nice, though. I think getting out of the spotlight and just getting to live my life and do things that I want to do, and not have to sit and I love talking to all of you, but it's going to be nice to not have to sit in front of a microphone, multiple times a week. I really appreciate all of you, but it will be nice to kind of get away and relax for a little.
Watch how happy Caitlin Clark is to have left the toxic society, even as the WNBA goes crazy over her confirmed huge contract in Europe.
Notification in people commenting under my shorts videos that Caitlin Clark's gone. She's left the WNBA. What is going on? I don't believe.
To answer your question, let's discuss Caitlin's rookie campaign. It would be an understatement to say that it was amazing. Not only was she talented, but she was captivating. She was shooting three-pointers from a different time zone. She had absurd court vision. And the arenas were packed with fans.
Already so many players heading overseas to play during the off-season.
Does she have the build to play in the WNBA?
Right now, people are listening. I won't tell you lies. Since Caitlin Clark was taken out, I haven't even briefly paid attention. However, that's typical for
the physicality of this league.
Yeah,
and she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality.
Record-breaking television ratings. Whether the WNBA was ready for it or not, Caitlin Clark was in full force when she brought them into the spotlight and gave them much-needed attention. However, she wasn't merely a novice. They did nothing to please her, even though she was the one with the ability to lead the league to new heights.
People are tuning in. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I have not tuned in 1 second since Caitlin Clark was eliminated, but that's not unusual.
The story changed behind the scenes. Without a doubt, Clark was boosting WNBA viewership. But instead of getting the respect she merits, veterans came to the court every night to witness her egregious performance, and she was essentially thrashed. As if they didn't realize she was their golden goose, the league sat there enjoying popcorn and watched everything happen until, oops, she was gone.
Yes, she will have a target on her back.
Caitlin is packing up and heading to Europe because she's had enough, where she'll probably be treated like the basketball princess she is. The WNBA, meanwhile, is in a panic, wondering how they are going to keep fans interested. Mark, an ESPN question, is acting as if they have any control over the situation while throwing a fit. Be warned, they don't.
In box office, she was the main attraction, and there were so many storylines that's been associated with her. Most recently, the whole thing with her and Cheryl Swoops, even though it really wasn't her. It was Cheryl Swoops and all this. Every time you turned around, there was something that she had.
Clark has had enough of the WNBA's disregard, lack of protection, and notion that they could capitalize on her skill without doing anything to assist her. Remembering what she went through while playing in the league is important. It wasn't your typical roughing up by a rookie. Rather, it was extreme violence. The referees were utterly inept, and at times it seemed like players were fouling her as if it were a contact sport. It was understandable why she started disparaging them in interviews, saying that she didn't exaggerate when she said that she felt like she was being hammered out there.
Some technical fouls. She struggled with physical defense she's faced at the professional level and voiced frustration with the league's officiating, recently telling reporters, quote, "I feel like I'm getting hammered and everybody is physical with me, and opponents get away with things that other people don't get away with." That's what Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA did not step in to protect their best player. Instead, they let other players' jealousy run wild. Clark was not being coached by veterans. Rather, they were ridiculing her. Basketball wasn't the only topic anymore. It was intimate. And the league paid the price while doing nothing but watching. The WNBA had every opportunity to construct their entire brand around Caitlin Clark and make her the face of women's basketball. However, they disregarded her worth and allowed her to be physically assaulted on the court. They are currently in chaos as they attempt to find a way to maintain viewership without their biggest star. Caitlin Clark has had enough of being their punching bag and is taking her skills to Europe, where, let's face it, she will most likely be treated like royalty.
Getting notification in people commenting under my shorts videos that Caitlin Clark's gone. She's left the WNBA. What is going on? I don't believe.
Since then, ESPN has also been frantic. You know what? The league was left scratching their heads and wondering what went wrong when all of the viewers they were counting on to boost their numbers suddenly disappeared. They are simply paying the price for their lack of respect for Caitlin Clark. As a wake-up call to the WNBA and ESPN, who took her for granted and now have nothing better to do than act indignant as the athlete who will influence their future abandons them, Clark's decision to relocate to Europe is not only a victory for her.
Your meal ticket is under constant attack. There's been dirty plays.
ESPN was living the dream when Caitlin Clark exploded into the WNBA scene. She wasn't just another rookie, that much was clear. Instead, she was a game share as soon as she stepped onto the court. With a plethora of new fans ready to jump on the Caitlin Clark bandwagon and dollar signs for future headlines, ESPN went all out to market Caitlin Clark as the next big thing in women's basketball. And you know what? It was successful. Clark creates games instantly. As Blockbuster's viewership numbers skyrocketed and ESPN rode that wave like it was the only show in town, she was their golden ticket, and they relished every second of it.
They're the racists when really y'all are the racists. The people coming up with excuses to hate Caitlin Clark and the new fan base.
We must not, however, ignore Chelsea Carter's small but iconic stunt because, despite almost blinding Clark for the duration of the playoff game, she was not ejected or given any real punishment. The WNBA's informal Tuesday seemed to convey the idea that Caitlin Clark's season was open and that nobody was stepping in to stop it.
Jordan of the WNBA was assaulted, has a black eye during the second half of the game because Dejanay Carrington stabbed her with her fingernails in the eye. I believe it's side 11.
Clark was also the victim of 177% of the NBA's egregious fouls during her rookie campaign. Give it some time to sink in. Not only that, but she was singled out more than anyone else. In essence, she was a cheap shot magnet. Additionally, the Chicago Sky accounted for 80% of those fouls.
Then all of a sudden your hand turns downwards and straight into the eye of the biggest star in the WNBA. It's not a natural act. And I called it out yesterday in real time watching the game. Like, hey, that was on purpose. That was not an accident.
Carter was just getting started with his shoulder check. Players from Diamond to Shields went one step further and ran her over in a fit of rage during a game where the score wasn't even close. ESPN carried on as usual, exploiting Clark's notoriety while she was being battered, but she remained silent, didn't criticize the league, and didn't ask for more protection.
A stat that came out a few weeks ago that said Caitlin Clark received 17% of the WNBA's flagrant fouls this season, and 80% of those flagrant fouls were committed by the Chicago Sky against Caitlin Clark. Now, this one that we see right here that I believe should have been a flagrant foul was not called that. So there have been cheap shots, there have been hard fouls, there have been other plays that haven't even been called.
I can also see it. And the locker room dynamics were significantly worse. A star couldn't flourish in that kind of setting. Furthermore, Clark had to contend with more than just cockroaches and on-court aggression. In addition, she had to deal with a poisonous atmosphere within the league itself, where seasoned players tried their hardest to push her out because they saw her as a newcomer who didn't deserve the attention she was getting. They now viewed Clark as a liability who threatened the status quo, rather than as someone who could improve the league as a whole.
Let her cook. Y'all stop being petty. Stop being catty, because she like a double-edged sword. She couldn't tell left and right, and it's bothering y'all.
It's astounding that the WNBA didn't recognize Clark's value until it was too late. They had a player who outperforms icons like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird in terms of impact as well as skill. Despite being game icons, neither player received the same amount of recognition or money as Clark during her rookie campaign. However, she was able to depart because the WNBA did not take adequate precautions to keep her safe. They are now dealing with the consequences.